morning. This is Jim Moore, and you are watching Justice for America. It is January 16th, 2024. Glad to have you with me. We're going to jump right into a few pretty important things this morning that are happening. We're going to be talking about the primaries that happened in Iowa last night. Won't spend a lot of time on that. We're going to be talking about what's going on in this country and other countries as far as farming. We're going to be talking about, just a number of things. So rather than give you the list and then have to give it to you again, let's just jump right in. But let me just say first, take the time, please. We're trying to make the transition over from one venue to another. A lot of people are not used to it, so a lot of our listeners are not tuning into this. If you're one of them, please, just be patient with us, and we're going to try to get really consistent as much as we can, but we'll give you heads up every time we go on just so that you'll know. And I know it may not be as easy as it was, but we'll get there. We'll just keep trying. So all right, so let's start last night with everything's been building up in Iowa. If I happen to say Ohio, it's I don't know why I do that, but I do sometimes. It's Iowa. If you don't know a lot about what's happening, we have something called the primaries, where the Democratic Party and the Republican Party try to figure out who their front runner is going to be. I'm going to keep it real simple. You can delve into it deeper if you want. And so basically they get together, they have their candidates that want to be, 4 or 5 for the Democrats, 4 or 5 for the Republicans, and then they decide, they kind of vote. And what happens in Iowa pretty much sets the tone for what's going to happen. So Iowa as far as the Republican Party. So you had Donald Trump, you had DeSantis, you had Nikki Haley, and you had Vivek. I'm still trying to pronounce his name right. And they were all stumping and proclaiming and saying, and all of them had some good things to say. All of them had some stuff maybe not quite so good. Bottom line, Trump won. Okay, big shock, big surprise to everyone. No, said no one ever. And this is the order that it went in. All right, if that matters. And it does matter to the candidates, because the last in line guys usually are like, I probably am just going to drop out. I don't think that's going to happen with Vivek this time, but because he's pretty determined to stay in the race. But anyway, so you had Donald Trump. He had a little over 50% of the votes. And what's interesting about what was going on in Iowa was the weather. So it's like almost like a sign from God. Okay, who's going to really get out? Who's this really matter to the most? So I think at one point I heard pretty close to like sub 40 degrees below 0 Fahrenheit, just super, super cold. I mean, dangerous cold. You can get frostbite and die cold. And so I think they had a pretty good turnout anyway. People braved the weather. They got out. So anyway, Trump won about 50-ish%. I'm not going to give exact numbers. And then DeSantis was 20-some, a little bit over 20%. And then it was Nikki Haley in the teens, under 20. And then Vivek, I think he got teens too, but last in line. So Trump, DeSantis, Haley, Vivek. Now, probably, I'm gonna throw this out there in my little estimation of this. I think all 4 of them are going to stay in the race. I really do. I don't know. I think Vivek is just super hardcore as far as he's not going to give up. I'll be surprised if he does. And then Haley, same way. She's like fight to the bitter end. DeSantis in the number 2 slot definitely is not going to give up. So it's going to be interesting to watch. It's going to be a crazy year. And I just want to tell you about some of the current events that's happening. I want to get across something very, very important, even though mostly my job is not as a social commentator. It's a preacher. I am a preacher of the gospel, unashamed, doing it for 40 years, okay? And so I have a pretty solid worldview of, biblically what God himself has said is going to happen and so on. So I'm not going to give you a bunch of scriptures or anything like that today, but I will say this. This is going to be, and again, everybody's saying this now, so This is not, I'm not going to try to say, well, I told you so before anybody else did or anything like that. It's craziness. But everybody knows something's coming. Okay? Everyone in their spirit, unless they're just super dull, knows this year is going to be a game changer. I don't want to make a bunch of predictions, but I do want to get across to you in no uncertain terms, you need to do two things, I believe, that are the most important things that you could do. Are you ready to hear from Papa Jim? Number one, get your heart right with God. If you're not right with God, if you do not believe that you are ready to stand and look in the face of God and have your life examined through the cross, because it is only through the cross that men and women get into heaven. I know some don't believe that. It's okay. If you're not ready for that, if you're not ready for that meeting, if your sins have not been forgiven through the blood of Jesus Christ, then you need to do that, because he said, what would it profit a man if he gains the whole world? You get everything right, the government gets right, your family gets right, you're healthy, you got all the money you want. I mean, you know, everything in this life that you want, what would it matter if you gain everything and lose your soul? You stand before God and you hear the words, depart from me, I didn't know you. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, I do believe that you should take some natural preparations. Now, there's some people that are going crazy with that. There's always people that do that. They have gone so deep into this. They live and breathe and sleep, and everything is about that, to the neglect of their soul. Okay, we're just saying about do both, get them in the right order. I think a lot of this is about emotionally preparing yourself. I was having a talk with my beloved Linda last night, who just had a birthday. Happy birthday, Linda. We were at a restaurant, Mexican restaurant, talking about this. What if a worst case scenario happened this year? Would you be mentally prepared for an invasion? And I don't mean the border invasion, that's bad enough. But let's say things really turned bad. Let's say, for example, Donald Trump was elected. Okay? Now, I think in a way that would, in my opinion, I think that would be good for the country. Are you going to vote for him, Jim? That's none of your business. I'm not here to stump for any of them. I'm not even going to tell you. But I do think that there are levels of good and bad that would happen for each one of the candidates, okay? The Democratic Party, thumbs down. No, I don't. I think the party in general has become so corrupt and so committed to following the ways of wokeism and darkness that it's going to increasingly destroy the country. And so what if you know, yeah, anyway, I won't go down that road. But I think there's good and bad in all that. So, but if, and I'm speaking specifically about the Donald, okay, if he's elected, there's going to be a uprising that will eclipse what happened in the first election. Absolutely, I believe I can guarantee that that's going to happen. If he is not elected, that doesn't mean we're out of the woods. The path that the country is going down is irreconcilable to God. I hope you hear me say that loud and clear. It's irreconcilable to God. God will not just turn a blind eye. It says there was a time that he did, wink at the ignorance of man, but now he commands everyone to repent. God's not okay with it. He's never been with other nations. Okay, so my heart is that you will prepare yourself emotionally, not to live in fear. If you're right with God, you don't have to fear anything that comes down the pike. Does that mean you don't prepare? No, I think you do. If you know a tornado's coming and you don't board up your windows and, get some food in your closet, you're just being dumb. It's just dumb, okay? So, but we're not talking about, becoming so obsessed that it takes over your whole life. All right, so let me give you some of the links today so that you can look them up. After this is posted on YouTube and Rumble, I'll go ahead. When it's posted, it should come with all these links so that you can look at them, unless the service, the agency that it is on, wants to take some of them out. And some are pretty hardcore. They really are. But you need to know the truth. This is all about lies and truth. Okay, you've got people committed to saying whatever needs to be said in order to win. Everybody should see this by now. And then you've got people who are just committed to telling the truth. They're saying, I'm just going to tell the truth and let the chips fall where they may. So that's my position, to the best of my ability, being sincere about that, not trying to be better than anybody. I'm just saying I believe in the truth. Jesus said, I'm the way, the truth. He is the truth. Okay, and his kingdom is about truth. So I'm committed to truth. All right, so let's jump into these real quick. Number one, You can find all the information you want. I actually didn't put any links about the caucuses, the primaries in Iowa. Oh, I did want to say one more thing about that. Apparently, are you ready for this? The Democratic Party is not going to have any primaries. So I saw a guy yesterday, and I think I might have put this on down at the very bottom, where I forget the guy's name, but he came on 10 days ago. The Democratic Party decided they weren't going to even vote. Biden is in as the guy. He's the guy. He's just going to be the guy. Nobody running against him. It's just insanity. No democratic process. Okay, I can't go deep into that because I didn't have time to, but you can investigate that. This is just par for the course of what's happening. You should not be amazed at the most extreme things happening. I think I heard Glenn Beck say the other day that there was some conversation in one of the outlets, Democratic outlets, Democratic Party outlets. They were talking about the possibility of the MAGA Party assassinating its opponents. And what Glenn was saying was pretty important. He said basically what they do, what they're willing to do themselves is what they blame the other guy. It's called gaslighting. Okay, so I'm telling you right now, I don't think that's going to happen with Trump. I don't think so, but I would not be surprised if someone attempted that. You're going to see crazy like you've never seen crazy. Yeah, this coming year. All right, so get yourself ready. Number one, there's a lot going on right now in Germany with the farmers. And this is important because it is coming down the pike to our country as well. Again, pretty simple. I like to talk to you really plain, really simple, without all of the intricacies. If you want to look into the intricacies, that's great. But I just want to tell you real quick, this is about it is about a global control of the way we eat our food, the way we grow, the way we produce, the way we distribute, and the way it is about global control. The people, the elites, whoever you want to call them, the rich guys, the royals, the the Rockefeller, whoever they are, whatever. The people that, believe it or not, really do run things, believe with all of their heart that the only way the earth is going to survive is if they're in control, because then they can tamp down on carbon emissions, they can tamp down on how food is grown, cows passing gas in the field. I mean, it's just insanity what they believe. So they have to keep moving towards this. They're not going to stop. Okay, when we stand up and make our voice known, oftentimes that keeps those things at bay for a period of time. All right, and it's important because we are supposed to, as Christians, stand against tyranny. It's biblical. One of these days, maybe I'll do a teaching on that. So there's some stuff about these farmers in Germany who have pushed back. Basically, their government says, we're going to tax your farm equipment. And some of the government agencies have bought up some of the farms, made it impossible, basically, to be a farmer. Why? They just got up one morning and decided to do that? No, gosh, we have to see. There's a plan going on here, okay? It's real. All right, so the neat thing about it is that the German people, the farmers, thousands upon thousands of them have brought their tractors, brought their farm equipment, turned on their lights, choked out the city streets and said, we will have none of this. And it's actually pushed back the powers that be for a season. Good to watch. Now, I said that about Obama being the main, not Obama, Freudian slip, about Biden, which, and let me just, again, state my opinion on this. I don't hate the man. I know some people, do, and I don't believe that God gives us the privilege to hate people. It wouldn't even really be a privilege. You get what I'm saying. So I pray for him. I pray God save him. I pray for give him a turnaround or take him out. I don't mean killing him. I mean, and I probably will get bounced for that. Gosh, it's terrible. You have to be so careful, but I want good leadership and you want good leadership. All right. Having said all that, I don't think he's fit to run the country at all. Now, there's been some speculation maybe that Michelle Obama would run for president. There is a link about that. I don't think that's going to happen, but you might want to watch it. You might have seen what's going on in the country of Ecuador. The cartels have pretty much, at least for a time, being taken over. Let me just say this real quick about the cartels. There's a number of links. You can look them up. The governments that have played patty cake and become intertwined with the cartels are now beginning to reap what they've sown over so many years. Even our government, when Chicago, for example, in the early days of Al Capone and all of the gangs, okay, were infiltrated into the government and all of our systems, you know, we're now reaping. I mean, there's few cities in our country that have more corruption than Chicago does. Here's the bottom line. You can't play with the devil and get off scot-free. You just can't. Whatever you sow the wind, you're going to reap the whirlwind. That's what the Bible says, okay? So we're reaping the whirlwind in that. Ecuador has been, you know, having cartels. Mexico with their cartels. It's going to become two ahead where either they control the government or the government controls them and tamps them down. So you will not believe some of the stuff that's going on in Ecuador. At home, speaking of corruption, so Fanny Willis, you know, the DA who has got the indictments going against Trump, big scandal that's come out. Come to find out, one of her guys that is trying to prosecute Trump is a former lover, someone she had an affair with, someone that she had a relationship with, blah, blah, blah. So her lover's name is Nathan Wade, and she basically paid him about $1 million. So we're talking about favor, getting, you know, unjust favor because you know somebody. And so this is one of those things that's like a kind of a gotcha thing. So, you know, you just can't live a corrupted life and expect everything to be okay in the end, and it won't be. So anyway, that's an interesting story. That could overturn the whole thing. Linda and I saw a video yesterday when we were doing some traveling. As you can see, we're traveling. I'm in a different zone here. We heard her in church basically preaching about herself and how that, you know, we shouldn't judge each other and God forgives us and I'm not perfect and all this. Yeah, okay, you know what? You live in corruption. It's just not going to be okay. So anyway, that's happening. I thought this was an interesting link. And again, I'm not telling you all the links. You're going to have to look at them yourself. Again, that's all I can do right now. If you don't do that, you're going to miss 90% of the importance of this program. So I encourage you to do that. One of these links has a split screen. Now, this is really interesting. It is an old video of the current president, Joseph Biden, on the left, and on the right of his son, Hunter, present day. So old video, new video. Joe Biden is standing up and basically talking about how important it is that we have strict laws about crack cocaine. And it's almost like he's prophesying about what's coming with his son. It's very interesting. And a very young Joe Biden is talking about we're passing these laws. They have to be strict. People will do them if they don't. All these things he's saying. At the same time, you're watching, are you listening now? You're watching his son on the other side of the screen smoking crack cocaine. The dichotomy there, the hypocrisy there, okay? It is stunning. All right, so you're going to watch that. Some of you might have heard about the Hasidic Jews. There was a tunnel that was found in a Jewish synagogue. This is not the first time this is happening. A lot of people jumping on board and saying it was child sex trafficking. I'm going to tell you, like Dan Bongino says, one of the guys I listen to, wait until all the facts come out. There is a spirit, a demon spirit that wants people to hate the Jews right now, and it is demonic. I'm not saying all Jews are good. There are Jews that are killers. There are Jews that are sexually abusive. There are. Just because they're of one race doesn't mean there's no bad guys. There's lots of bad guys, okay? Lots of wickedness. But there's lots of good too. And God said, I mean, historically, if you read about the Jews in the Bible, they did some of the most corrupt things. And it's true today. Same way with Americans. Same way with Russians. Same way with Africans, okay? Don't be dumb, okay? So that God doesn't change his mind about them being his chosen people. But he will hold them accountable for bad things they did. Anyway, we don't know exactly what's happened with the tunnels. It does seem pretty suspicious, but I would say wait and be careful that you don't pass judgment immediately and just hop on the bandwagon with everybody. Okay, one of the big ones here, and I'm going to stop right here, I think, is aliens in Miami. How many have heard this? Aliens in Miami. So I'm going to be a little bit careful here. I heard Tucker talk just a little bit about this, and Nephilim and giants, and I may do a whole program probably on words of encouragement for this, but I want to say this. There are things happening in the spirit world. I mean, almost everybody, okay, first of all, don't tell me you don't believe in it if you believe in God, okay? God's a spirit. They that worship him must worship him in spirit and truth, words of Jesus, okay? Anybody that believes in God knows that he's not walking around like a man right now. That happened during Jesus, but even if you don't believe in Jesus. Okay, so don't say you don't believe in the invisible world if you believe in God, because you do. Where do you think God lives? Okay, so I believe one of the things that the Bible teaches in the end is that we will see manifestations of the spiritual world. Okay, how many believe in angels? Raise your hand. Okay, most of you. Most of you believe in angels. Where do they live? They live in the invisible realm. Okay, let's not freak out so much about terminologies that we don't use our brains. Okay, have angels appeared to men and women? Yes, they have. Have demons appeared to men and women? Yes, they have. You can't believe in one without believing in the other, at least biblically, because they are both dwellers in that world. So I believe what you're going to see, the narrative of the world, the majority of the world, and I believe mostly the powers that be, is going to say, this is all about aliens. Okay, I've been saying this for decades, that I don't believe aliens are creatures from another planet. I do not believe that. I don't think that's at all biblical. You can have your own opinion. I'm just telling you mine. You don't have to agree with me. But I do know that the Bible talks about angels and demons, and it talks about them manifesting. So apparently it appeared that something manifested. You'll have to do a deep dive on this. It's really, really crazy what happened. We're talking about very large beings manifesting to the naked eye, kind of coming in and out of view to a great number of people. This is not just a couple wackos saying this. So I believe this actually happened. I think that the police force and stuff tried to cover it up and basically say, oh, it's just a bunch of kids out there and it's just a big conspiracy. I don't think so. I don't think so. And that's my opinion again. So whether that actually happened or not, I will tell you this, it will happen. Okay, the world is going to become a very spiritual place as the years go on. You read the book of Revelation, okay? All right, you guys, that's all I can do today. Hopefully this gets downloaded here today, Tuesday. Stay tuned. Please make the effort to actually watch. I put something on Facebook the other day just to kind of keep everybody in tune. I had a lot of people tune in. And so far as I've done this on YouTube, not so much. And that pains me because I believe the messages are important. So if you're watching this, I know I'm preaching the choir, but just do your best. Do your best to share it with other people. Give people the heads up. Point it to them. There's been some difficulty finding the link for these. I'll try to, if anybody is having trouble, anyone is having trouble finding these links, let me know, and I'll make sure. They're not always easy to find, but you know, good stuff is worth looking for. So, all right, love you guys. God bless you. This is Jim Moore signing off. Give yourself permission to have a great day, and God bless you.